Hello artisans, I'm going to show you how to make some Rya loops. Okay, so I've started with a few rows of regular weave. Okay, we need these to keep our Rya loops in place. I'm going to start with not too long of a piece of yarn. So I'm just going to measure it like this. I'm going to lay the piece across my hand, hold it with my thumb, lightly wrap it around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. Okay, that should be enough. And you can hold this yarn in one hand so that it makes it easier. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is we're going to double up this yarn to get a puffier effect. So you need to find both ends of your yarn and put them together. Then pull, pull until you come to the midway point of these yarns. All right. Now I'm going to move all my yarn over to the left. I'm going to put it under a bunch of warp threads to just kind of keep it in this. If you had more stuff on your warp here, it would be in the back. You want to keep it out of the way. Keep these extra things out of the way in the back. Okay, so let's pull this through. And you're going to leave enough yarn so that you can weave it back through, just like we've been doing the whole time. Not too short. Okay. Now, we're going to take the end of our yarn here, and we're going to pull up this first warp thread here, and we're going to go under this warp thread and to the left. And we're going to kind of make an S here. Pull it up around like this. Oop. Pull it up around like that. Okay. Now, grab your next warp thread. Put it under and to the left. And what you're going to wind up with is something that looks, if you isolate it, well, it's kind of hard to tell, but it looks like this, okay? It looks like this. So this is our first knot, or this is our first Rya knot. So pull it kind of firmly. You might have to grab it from both sides. Pull that back. All right, so there's your first Rya knot. Now you want to make a loop in between the first Rya knot and the second Rya knot. So we're going to leave this a little bit loose, okay? And once again, we're going to take our double yarn, pull up on the next warp thread, pass it under toward the left, pull through, but don't pull too tight. Leave a little loop down here about the width of your finger, loosely. Okay? Now let this thread, this yarn, come up around like this, as if it were a gigantic S. So that's the bottom of the S, and this is the top of the S. Okay? Grab your next warp thread and pass your yarn bowl under and over to the left. Now, you've got this loop down here, right? You don't want this loop to move anywhere, so keep your finger on it as you pull. Make sure it's like about the width of your finger. So adjust it so that when your knot is tight, you've got about that much there. Okay, so that's your first loop. That's your first Rya knot. That's your first loop. That's your second Rya knot. Okay, now we're going to make another loop and another knot. So grab the next warp thread, pull it up, pass your handful of yarn underneath and to the left. Okay, put your finger in there so that you don't pull that yarn too tight. You want to keep a loop there, just like this one. Bring it up like a big S. Top of your S is huge. Okay? Grab your next warp thread. Pass your yarn under toward the left. Go back down and put your finger in that loop. Pull, 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 pull. And make sure that that loop is about 1 finger width wide like the last one. Okay? Now, you've got 1, 2, 3 knots and 2 loops in between. Let's continue. Take the end of your yarn. Lift your next warp thread. Pass it under to the left. Keep a loop here. Put your finger in there, keep your loop there. Bring your thread up and around like a big S shape at the top. Grab your next warp thread. Pass your yarn under and to the left. Hold on to your loop down here. Make sure it's about 1 finger width wide. All right. Now we've got 3 loops, 4 knots. Continue A, if you know French. Pick up your next warp thread. Pass your thread under to the left. Pull, pull, pull. Keep your finger in there to make a loop. Bring your yarn around to make a big, big, big S shape. Grab your next warp thread. Pass it under and to the left. Put your finger in the loop. Pull down. Try to keep your loops about the same size. Okay. Next. Pull up your next warp thread. Pass your yarn under to the left. Pull. Put your finger in the loop. Let your yarn come around into a big S shape. Grab. That's too small. Too big. Pass it around like a big S shape. Grab your next warp thread. Pass your yarn under to the left. Hold on to your loop. Pull. Alright, next, grab your next warp thread. Pass your yarn under to the left. Pull, leave a loop, bring it around like an S. Grab your next warp thread, pass it under to the left. Pull it through, put your finger in that loop. Pull. Now we're almost to the end. Grab your next warp thread. Pass it under to the left. Put your finger in the loop. Make your S. Grab your next warp thread. Pass it under to the left. Hold your loop with your finger. Alright, so we've got our first row here. Our first row of loops. Yay! Okay, now we have to separate each row of loops with a row of plain weave. Otherwise, it loosens our weaving when we take it off the loom. So, I don't think it matters whether you begin over or under, so I'm just going to begin under, over, under, over, under, over, over, under, over, under, over, under. Okay, when you come to the end, you're going to weave a regular weave back around to the other side. And just go past your last Rya loop one strand so that you can come back around and begin again. Okay, so we're going to start like we did before. Actually, I think I'm going to go one more. Okay, so I'm going to start like we did again in the beginning. Pick up your first. Oops, there's something wrong here. Sorry, I'm sorry. All right. Okay, I need to come around like this. Okay, so I've gone across my first Rya loop, 2 strands. Now, take a look at this. It's very clear now. You've got a Rya knot, a loop, a knot, a loop, a knot, a loop, a knot, a loop, a knot, a loop, knot, loop. Okay. Alright, so it alternates between the knot and the loop. When you get to the end, you have to make a row because it holds the whole thing together. Your weaving will fall apart if you don't create this row in between. Okay, I've gotten to the end here. I've come around again, and I'm going to, hope this works, begin again. So, pick up the first warp thread, put my yarn under, bring it around, pick up the second warp thread, put my yarn under to the left, pull it through, and there's my first knot. Now make a little loop. Bring your yarn, pick up the next warp thread, bring your yarn under to the left, make a little loop at the bottom, finger width apart, bring your thread around like a huge S, pick up the next warp thread, put your yarn underneath and to the left, hold your loop at the bottom so it stays the same size, pull gently, okay. Next, warp thread, under to the left, leave some space, bring it around like a big S, pull up the next warp thread, bring your yarn under and to the left, pull it down, keep the loop loose. Pull up your next warp thread. Put your yarn under to the left. Hold your loop open. Bring it around like a big S. Pull up the next warp thread. Pass your yarn under and to the left. Hold your loop at the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to keep doing this. Pull up, pass to the left. S, pull up, pass to the left. Hold the loop. Pull down. Pull up the next thread. Pass to the left. S, pull up the next thread. Pass to the left. Hold your loop. Pull down. Next warp thread. Pass to the left. Hold the loop. S. Next thread. Pass to the left. Under. Hold your loop. Pull. Next thread. Under and to the left. Make S shape. Next thread. Pass to the left and under. Hold your loop. Pull your knot. Okay, now you have to go back around to make another row of plain weave before you can start your next row of Rya loops. And I'm going to go one beyond this so that when I come back around I can do this and start once again with my next knot. All right, pull up your next warp thread, pass it under, bring it around, pull up your next thread. Okay, so you get the idea, right? You're just going to keep going like this. And everybody keeps asking me, how many rows do I have to make? Well, the answer is you have to make as many rows as you have to make until you completely understand how to do this in your sleep. So practice it until you completely understand it. If that means 3 rows, great. If that means 10 rows, great. But if I were to take you tomorrow and say, do this, could you do it? Could you do it? Did you practice it enough? Did you learn it? Do you understand how to do it enough to recreate it? It's meaningless for me to tell you how much you have to do because it's all individual. You need to practice until you completely understand how to do it. Period. That's all I can say. Alrighty, well, just so you know, here's another practice part I did. It's not a double strand. It's just a single strand, but you can see the loops. It's pretty interesting, and so anyway, I hope this made sense to you finally. All right, bye-bye.